This week on Hermitcraft.
The sign says, how?
Welcome to the Hermitcraft Recap. My name is Pixelriffs, our writer is LoyXP, and this week's episode is brought to you by the question, how? How does Impulse SV now have a farm that can give you 77 different items? How did Zombie Cleo break Joe Hills' legs? How did Corrales even fall for that? All these questions and more are answered in today's show, and let's not forget, in the Hermit's videos themselves, because sometimes you just need context. But with context thrown to the winds, let's take a look at all the events and mishaps that occurred on the Hermitcraft server this week. Starting with Igevin, as he floods then unfloods the outer ring of his ocean base. This is not just him being indecisive, it's actually to create waterlogged slabs for a manual sugarcane farm, or a decorative sugarcane feature, depending on how he feels that day.
And then over here, I'm not sure what we'll do for like the one wide spots, but I do like that idea. So let me know what you think.
He is still working through the creative decisions that would look good on the futuristic structure, and so far the idea is to make it thicker. He's not the only one stuffing a donut with organic fillings. Impulse plans to turn the upper disc of his ocean megabase into a giant domed greenhouse. But first he has to take advantage of a new take on a Raiseworks raid farm, incorporating villagers into it so the Hero of the Village effect can come into play, and villagers will happily chuck bonus items into hoppers for him at no additional cost. Of course, this requires working out which items he actually wants, so maybe the fishermen can keep the salmon to themselves.
All 6 of these guys, even though I was standing here, tried to give me a gift. That is awesome. Very good to know. But yeah, raw salmon, not very helpful.
The Hermitcraft members can, in turn, raid the dungeon Tango Tech is constructing, but only if they're quiet enough because the Clunk stealth system is now in place. As is the Night Sky for the faux outdoors segments of the adventure. These are especially notable because they use actual nether stars as the night sky stars, which is, suffice it to say, rich. Decadent even. Thus, Tango redstones and decorates his way through the forest zone and the skeleton camp in a decrepit tower.
To one of my favorite systems here, which is the heartbeat system, okay? That's the heartbeat of the dungeon. Now, every time Clank is generated, it's going to be a lot quicker. No matter where you go in the dungeon here, you will hear the heartbeat as you're playing the game. Like the intensity of the dungeon will always be there with the heart.
And he experiences an ambush as well at the doors of the Zedaf Cave of Contraptions. Revisiting his Season 5 idea of a deadly doorbell, Zed has put together a brand new home security system now more focused on melee attacks.
Yeah, come on in. I need you to try and keep reading this sign.
Get him, boys!
I want to silence little baby guys.
Get him! Get him!
The zombie spawner already helping him with the Plinko machine now doubles as a baby zombie provider for the emergency lever at the entrance, where they wait patiently for the unfortunate visitor.
If I take a little peek-see back... Oh no, my redstone! All the baby zombies fell down. Oh no, that was the worst redstone spillage I've ever seen.
Even a zombie apocalypse needs its distractions, and XP Crafted's arena has provided a welcome diversion. So, to make it more accessible, XP adds entrances on 2 sides, including a water elevator coming up from the tunnel below for folks who just can't fly in with Elytra, and adds some spectator stands where even the eliminated competitors can still take pot shots with a bow if the mood strikes them.
I like it. And we're using new blocks and all of that. I think it looks pretty dang good. Like, pretty dang.
For now, Wells Knight opts for a more environmental challenge, which is to say that all his leaf harvesting will no doubt be a challenge for the environment. Though he submits quite an amount of greenery to Bernie the Leaf Master, Wells's main hustle for the season is revealed to be a convenience store, Wellsmart, a fine establishment sure to meet all of your Wells needs, whatever those are. He isn't even sure of that yet. Even the leather market, which the good knight already had a foot in the door with, is now rapidly crashing thanks to all the Zogelin farms.
The reality of the situation is, I built Wellsmart in the middle of the most trafficked area on the server. I knew before I built this that it was going to get spoiled, and I don't really care about spoilers that much anyway. I like to think of them as exclusive previews.
Vintage Beef is laying traps for a different kind of prey. Having realized his agreement with Corrales has a convenient loophole and he can get out of owing his neighbor free posters and instruments for life, Beef lays an irresistible trap. With a replica of their beloved llama Matilda at the center, and invites Corrales over to be dropped into a pit, splashed with harming potions and decimated by zombies.
Okay, here we go. Yes! Yes! Did the gates open down there? He was slain by vengeance! Corrales was slain by vengeance. Oh, wow. And Mutty Wanda survived it. This is perfect. Everything worked out beautiful.
Also, the lifetime guarantee ends up being a little shorter than originally intended. Taking this opportunity to reflect on his past lives, Corrales returns to the Season 2 world download and the mountain camp he once built and enjoyed and filled with villagers.
Okay, I'm a grown man. I'm not gonna cry, but this brings back so many memories.
And while he's there, he revisits the What Is Love noteblock cover Azuma once left at his place. The new version Etho left at his diamond office runs for longer and more in-depth instrumentation thanks to the newer update, but both are very much worth bobbing your head to. For old time's sake, Corrales fills another spot with unwilling villagers. In the underground below his farm barn, he sets up a Grumbot-esque landscape diorama, from whence the farmer villagers will now forever produce crops. But in a cruel twist of fate, Corrales himself turns out to be a bone-mealing apparatus, judging by the model Azuma builds at the road to his base.
Adorable, shashwami. Biral is gonna be looking in my direction at all times, like a little guardian. I love it.
This is a minor face remodeling compared to Azuma's general business of mob head acquisition, and this week he stumbles into quite a puzzle, the Zogelin head, something that necessitates quite the conversion line through Overworld and back, and unfortunately doesn't survive that when not supported by not one but two server mates.
Cubfan was so kind enough to come over here and actually AFK for me in the Overworld. But this time I had help from our friend with the beautiful eyes, Mr. Corrales then came and flew over as Cubfan had gone to bed. What did I say? Hermitcraft is full of heroes.
The culprit was the despawning algorithm, seeing as how hoglins are technically and evidently a hostile creature. Having also completed a tower to hide away the villager breeder in, Azuma moves on to the community minigaming area, where he puts finishing touches on the standoff minigame and declares sign-ups for a tournament. Another fun activity is introduced by Cubfan, who is still playing around with target blocks. The new game to play in his Great Pyramid is Open Sesame, where you're supposed to hit the same bullseye from increasingly greater distance on a time limit. Though the game doesn't offer many hidden doors, despite what the name would suggest, the pyramid itself promises to become a sizable labyrinth of secret passages. It just needs places for those to lead into first, which is an issue when most of it has no interior. Therefore, Cub fills the walls of the second story in with stripped birch, which costs him just a little bit of himself and a little bit of time and effort.
I dream about Birch, I think about Birch, and to an extent, I've actually become part Birch. Now all we have to do is strip every single piece of this, so, yep, I'm out.
He is hoping that the labyrinth will be there by the time Grian rolls up, as he's taken the liking to showcasing other hermits' bases in a facsimile of MTV's Cribs.
I'm 100% certain this is a joke that he's never seen. Now it's an ethos lab. I don't even know if he's going to get this.
While he waits for anyone to show up to his own upside-down house where the magic happens, Grian decides it won't hurt to blast some more netherrack for that good ancient scrap, which is how he comes into possession of a netherite throne that is only slightly less impressive than the Hedge Game's prize pool. The difference in ingots is used on creating spare sets of gear Grian plans to sell as a new wave of the Did You Die boxes, the backup boxes, as he's clearly tired of waiting for people to die just so he can sell these to them.
I have a feeling people will like this just to have a spare backup, because if you die, you obviously come back to your base without anything.
For Joe Hills, who refuses to use diamonds on principle, it'd cost an arm and a leg. Or maybe both legs, since Zombie Cleo finally makes good on the promise to break Joe's legs when they turn up to harvest the same leaves at the same time.
Gather all the leaves that Iskall will require for whatever his bizarre project is. Oh, hey, did you break my legs?
Did I? Did you have legs
Apparently.
on?
What?
Did you have pants?
Yeah, well, I mean, I still technically am wearing trousers, but I had, like, golden leggings on top of those.
Oh, I break your legs!
Cleo has some bionic ones lying around that might work better if Cyberpunk 2077 is your idea of better. Still, the area around Cleo's museum needs clearing a little faster for the most dangerous game exhibit she's planning. So they whip up some old TNT cannon designs and see if they can make a dent in the landscape. Unfortunately, the old school ain't always the best school.
It does.
Oh no, you're still in there. I'm still in there too. We did it.
We did it.
Just think those cannons all the way back there blew up this big pit thanks to...
Oh, yeah, exactly what happened.
Joe makes up for deforesting the overworld by applying liberal amounts of bone meal to the area around his nether portal, spreading the warped forest scenery to enclose the access stairway, and then hangs some at-shaped flight rings to guide flyers back to his portal from the communal nether hub. Iskall is happy for the community assistance, and we don't just mean the amount of leaves Bernie is now chewing through. He also ends up liking False Symmetry's circus music addition to the Omega store so much that he now has it triggered via pressure plate whenever customers enter.
It looks like I'm not the only one that noticed that it looks a little bit like a face. Whoosh! It's the clown it's the Tivoli it's the circus music. There's also stray shulkerbox here. Oh, is this may be, yeah, this is my very securely hidden shulkerbox. So right up here is the reception end. Well, that didn't turn out to be very secure.
But the big change to the Hedge games is of course the addition of jackpot boxes, which are dispensed whenever one of the robot facade's giant teeth is lit. One of them is even claimed while he's still preparing the final few, but he was distracted by the sudden appearance of a mysterious sign, leading to an equally mysterious sign. Which leads us, finally, to Mumbo, whose solution for building a wither skeleton farm is to ask Iskall to do it for him, or at least to explain it somehow.
Alright, I want to be rich, okay? I want to be incredibly rich so that I can flex on all the hermits and just really show off how rich I am. And, well, I thought I could do that by making a ridiculous wither skeleton farm that then gives me loads of wither skulls that I can then sell to people, but also I can just have loads of wither skulls because that will make me look rich.
And there are even more wither skeletons there. This place is incredible. Okay, the sign says, how?
It's all part of his new business strategy, which involves building an office, so having a business strategy feels more legit. Also building a basalt generator, which explodes the normally resilient blocks while they're at their weakest. And for once, everything seems to go according to plan, which brings us back to the question of this episode, how? And that's about it for this week's recap. Our writer is LoyXP, and my name is Pixelriffs. If you're wondering how Loy's been doing, he's currently pulling ghasts into the overworld so they can blow stuff up for him, which we shouldn't be worried about at all. Anyway, the link is in the end screen theatre. Don't forget to leave a like while you're still here, and subscribe so you won't miss future recaps. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.